girl who's got it all together, and I wonder, you know, who's paying for this and who's paying for that, and how she got to where she is. She probably has this like rich guy that did it all for her, and like I made up all these stories in my head because I was envious of what she had and where she was. Beautiful kids, successful business, respected in the community, gives back. She had everything that I wanted. And that was so early in my personal development that I went to a place of judgment. And I'm really embarrassed and ashamed to say that, but if I don't get real with you, how can you get real with me? And as I got to know this extraordinary woman with a heart the size of the planet, who sacrifices so much, gives so much, came from nothing, and just gives and gives and gives and gives. And you know the cool thing about it is the more that you give, the more you get. So I want you to put your hands together and really give a warm welcome for Mitra, please. I'm excited to hear you, girl.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
First of all, thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time to be here this evening. I understand we all have personal obligations, and when you are invited to something like this and you're not really sure of what it is, you know, there's a little bit of apprehension, but you know what? Give yourselves a nice round of applause for making it here today. I'll give myself one. Because I was a little apprehensive, but it's an honor to be here. I love the energy, and it really truly is an honor to be here in front of all of you and have the opportunity to share my story. And I'm going to be as real with you as I possibly can, because I don't know any other way. It's probably one of the things that saved my butt throughout my whole entire life. I have the spirit of a child, so I've been told. So I have managed to make it through all the challenges that life has thrown at me with that heart and spirit of a child. Little Mitra, as I like to call her, because God knows she's gone through hell. So a little bit about me. Mitra Castano, aka Mitra Newman. There's a story behind that one. Mitra Haddad was the name that I was born with. I was born in Iran with two brothers. So needless to say, I learned to be a fighter at a very young age. You know, especially living in a country that's mainly dominated by men. So I didn't have a voice. And but there's always this essence inside of me, this longing to matter. Even though I was a little girl, I was very defiant. So defiant that and you know, I don't mind sharing this with you because I feel safe, but I was sexually molested by my father for quite a few years. And it was my brother that saved me. He's now my best friend. We shared the same birthday, and I used to hate him because, you know, I didn't want to share my birthday with him. But needless to say, since that incident, I look forward to us spending our birthdays together. But I wasn't just sexually molested by my dad. I was also sexually molested by my mother's best friend's husband. But I couldn't speak up. I did attempt to tell my mother what her best friend's husband had done to me, but I got the beating of my life because how dare I? You know, I couldn't speak up. But again, there was this longing inside me to want to stand up for myself, despite of the way I was brought up. I was brought up being told I'm stupid, I'm nothing but a whore, but I understand where that came from because I allowed my father to get away with abusing me for as long as he did. So I grew up thinking that I was everything he said I was. But again, going back to this little Mitra inside of me that was born as a fighter, I really truly believe that we are all born as warriors. We all have this warrior-like spirit, but it's through unfortunate circumstances in our life, through the circle of influence, through our families, you know, our husbands, boyfriends, whatever connections we have in our lives, we lose that warrior-like spirit. We give in to our circumstances, we forget who we are. And you know, it's only when you stay true to yourself, and it can be very challenging at times, believe me, I know. It's only when you stay true to yourself that you're able to serve your purpose, whatever that purpose may be. For me, it was to maintain having that voice. I longed for it, I fought for it. So much so that when we migrated to Canada, we actually took off overnight. My father said we're going on a vacation, the 5 of us, packed 1 suitcase, this is when we're still living in Iran. And I was told we were going on a vacation, so I never had the opportunity to say goodbye to my best friend, Nadia. I've never forgotten her. My grandmother and my family, we took off. I've never been back since. We went to Thailand, lived there as immigrants for 4 years, and came to Canada. So needless to say, when we came here as new immigrants, my father refused to admit that he was Iranian. So he would lie and say that we're Greek or Arabian or whatever, but he wouldn't admit to the fact that we're Persians. And I know why. It's because of the American hostages in Iran at the time, and he was embarrassed. So when we came to Canada, he embraced, we were Christians in Iran, but he embraced the religion that much more because he wanted to be different than when we were in Iran. So hence the last name Newman. We became newborn Christians, and he picked the last name Newman and decided on his own to change all of our names to westernized, biblical names for that matter. So he changed his name from Safar to David, my mother from Nazi to Mary, Ramin to Raymond, to Moss to Thomas, and he wanted to call me Sarah. So this is when I realized how strong my desire to stand up for what I believed in, even as a 12-year-old little girl was. I went on a hunger strike, got the beating of my life, because I refused to give up my name. It's the only thing I had. So I was the oddball in the family, and he said to me, oh, you're gonna, he was already talking down to me every chance he had, because my father had this inclination that because I'm a girl, that I didn't matter, because that's the way he was raised. And my mother, we witnessed my mother being beat up day after. We were raised with it. And when we tried to go to her aid, it was a pretty ugly scene. But needless to say, I fought. I kept my name. And whenever we'd be in social gatherings, he would shun, he would look down on me. And yeah, this is my wife, Mary. This is my son, Raymond, and Thomas, and Mitra. I'm like, hi, nice to meet you, And people would say, oh, I love your name. And I'd say, thanks, I love it too. I had the beating of my life to keep it. And people would laugh, but they didn't think I was serious. So needless to say, that was the beginning of me taking my power back. It started with keeping my name. So needless to say, I have had, growing up, nothing but negative influence from my father, from my brothers, from all the other male figures I've had in my life. And I have no problems telling you that I've been married twice. First time, I was only married for a year. I got into a head-on collision, and my ex left me, only to come back a year later when I was no longer broken, because I was his little trophy wife, to come back and, oh, by the way, these are not real, they're bought. Just in case you're wondering. Remember, no judgment.
Love it.
I'm back. So I was married to a bodybuilder, and my marriage only lasted a year because I got into head-on collision and I could no longer train and no longer was presentable in his eyes. He left me. I recovered because I'm a warrior, and I started working towards my recovery, and he decides he wants me back. No word of a lie. He comes knocking on my door, takes a look at me up and down, and after he'd done half of Maple Ridge, by the way, that he decided he wanted me back. And I said to him, yeah, he's a piece of work. But we're not male bashing, we're just sharing my story. Male bashing will be after this meeting. Honestly, I have no issues with men. In fact, after all of my experiences, and just so you know, I've since forgiven my father. I now have a healthy relationship with him, with boundaries. Thank you. Thank you. I wrote him a forgiveness letter first and flushed it in the toilet. That was my first step towards healing, because I didn't have the strength to face him, because it would be like facing that monster that I can't say hated. Hate wasn't a mile enough word. I loathed my father. And he represented, every other man out there represented my father. And I really truly believe that I was nothing but, for lack of a better word, a whore. So I lived most of my life believing that I was this useless, worthless piece of you-know-what. But despite of the way he treated me, the way he talked to me, again, that little Mitra inside is what kept me going. And I thought, I'm more than this. I am more than what my father says I am. I'm more than my first husband thought I was. I'm not just a piece of meat. I'm not just somebody to carry on as a trophy wife and you toss me aside like a toy. Like I was broken, he could no longer play with me, so he tosses me aside, and now when I'm fixed and together again, he wants me back. So to finish that story, I looked at him across the room because I was sitting in a chair and I could not move. I was still quite injured, and I said to him, "You're lucky I can't get up and kick your ass." I did. Get out, and I'll see you in court. So that marriage ended fast. And then, a year later, I met my husband of 15 years. And this is a story that I'm really anxious to share with you because, I felt like I had found the love of my life. He saved me. I saw him as my savior. He represented everything my father was not. So needless to say, I clung on to him. He was my life. He gave me 2 beautiful children. By the way, this is my daughter, Michaela. She's the light of my life. And it really truly is, it's an honor for her to be here. And I'll get into other events that Michaela and I do together, but it's really nice to have you here, Peanut. Yeah, you can call her Peanut. She'll hate you for it. So, my now ex-husband, second ex-husband, and no, I don't think I'll ever do it again, but then again, you've heard so many women say that, and I'll share the gentleman that I'm with now and how much he's impacted my life. He has been a wonderful attribute to what I have built for myself on my own without having a man tell me that he has made me, which is what my ex-husband did for 15 years. And I need to share this with you because for those of you that are married, and I understand that you love your husbands as you should, but please don't ever give up your identity. Don't ever become Mrs. So-and-so. I loved him and trusted him so much that I gave up all that I was. I was Mrs. Castano. I didn't even know what a credit card statement looked like. I was a kept wife. He pulled a Ponzi scheme. $6.2 million. I came home, I have it tattooed on my wrist, September 6, 2009. I came home and my ex told me that we were bankrupt and that we'd lost everything. And I could have handled that. It's only money. I could have handled that. But when he said to me that my life was threatened and that my children's lives were threatened as a mama bear, somebody that had been taking care of for 15 years, I sensed a whole other side of me come up that I was unaware of. Hence, that survival, that warrior-like instinct that I told you about, we all possess it, and you'd be amazed as to how quickly it comes out. So I rolled my sleeves up. He's looking for a criminal lawyer, and I'm looking for shelter for my children because I was afraid of people knocking on my door and doing terrible things to us, as they promised, rightfully so, because they're out hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I was left with 2 teenagers, lost our house, lost everything. I only had one thing remaining, and that was my now martial arts school, which is the love of my life. It really truly is, because through my school, I'm able to project that voice that I've so longed for. I'm able to make a change and to contribute to the women in my community. I now am a self-defense instructor, the only female instructor in all of Canada that teaches the kind of self-defense that I teach. And I am so honored to be in the presence of as many women as I have been throughout my career. I've been in this business for 7 years. And I can honestly say it's truly changed my life because I'm in the position to change other people's lives, mainly women. What drives me is the fact that when I was in a place where I had no voice, I wish that I had somebody like me. I wish that I had somebody like Misha come up to me and say, it's gonna be okay. I didn't, so I had to find that voice and I had to find my own strength and I had to take my own power back. So needless to say, I've since then made peace with my ex-husband. I really truly believe in letting go. When you hang on, when you become the product of what's happened to your life, you lose a sense of who you are completely. You become the event that's happened to you without even realizing it. You become a victim. I have refused, despite of what I've gone through, to be a victim, to play a victim, to think like a victim. That does not exist. Thank you. I believe in forgiveness. I believe in gratitude. I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for everything that's happened in my life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't because of my experiences. I wouldn't be the woman I've become. I wouldn't be the mother that I am, the friend. I wouldn't be the significant other than I now am in my healthy relationship, ladies. I am finally in a healthy relationship. Thank you. And it feels fabulous. And just so you know, after my separation from my second husband, I became quite involved. See, we get into a cycle and we don't realize why it is that I believe in manifestation. Who here believes in manifestation? It's a powerful thing. That's why I always say, whenever I have the opportunity to be in the presence of anyone, whether it be one person or 100, I don't care. Be careful what comes out of your mouth. Be careful of your thoughts. Because they sometimes, depends on how strong your connection is, they can manifest themselves within seconds. You could verbalize something, turn around, and what you just said is facing you. What are you doing? Oh, thank you. It's water. It's water! Thank you. So, unhealthy relationship started with my father, then it stemmed to my first husband and my second ex-husband, and I got involved in a very abusive relationship. Probably the most abusive relationship I had ever been in. You want to know why? Because I thought that's all I deserved. I thought that is all that I deserved. I was raised by being told I'm good for nothing. I'm stupid. I'm nothing without the significant other. They made me, and I believed it. So that's all I manifested, just all I put out there, because I thought that's all I truly deserved. So the more I believed it, the more it came into my life. So needless to say, and I will refer to this man as a gentleman, I really don't really believe that the reason why he put his hands around my neck, and he did, he tried to kill me. Thank God I'm a self-defense instructor. He had no idea what was coming. So needless to say, he ended up in the hospital. I should have laughed, I'm sorry. But you know, I'm a little person. He's a big bodybuilder, and he thought that he was going to be able to hurt me. And he egged me on, come on, Miss Martial Artist, show me what you got. And I thought, okay. But I wasn't going to fight. You see, I always say, even though I'm a fighter professionally, I'm a lover. I have a tremendous love for life. I love life. Everything in life. I'm awed by butterflies, by flowers. I know it sounds ridiculous to some of you, but honestly, I'm like, that little Mitra in me, it's still there. And I honor her. I love her. The reason why I allowed myself to get away, or the reason why I allowed as much abuse into my life, is because I stopped loving me. I stopped loving that little girl. I blamed her for everything that had happened in my life. And the truth of the matter is, it wasn't my fault. It's never your fault. And the truth of the matter is, you are in control of your life. You are in control of changing your life. It's you. No one else is going to do it for you. So don't look at the person next to you. Don't look at your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your husband. It's not their job. It's your job to make you happy. I took that job on myself when I had no choice. What other choice did I have? And you know, people will look at me and go, are you on drugs? I'm like, no. Because despite of the challenges that I was faced with, I would still wake up every morning with a tremendous amount of gratitude for having air in my lungs. You know, tremendous amount of gratitude because I have two beautiful, healthy children that are still with me. I have a wonderful circle of friends. I call them my circle of influence. And be careful who you bring into that circle. I promise you, they can make or break you. Hence another reason why I'm here. I stopped bringing toxicity into my life because I thought that's all I deserved. I would say and do things for other people's sense of well-being and forget about my own. just to make other people happy. And for the first time ever in my life, I realized I matter. And I love me. Every morning I wake up and I love me. And I love my life, and I love where my life has brought me. I don't blame anyone for anything. I take full responsibility for everything that's happened in my life. And I'll continue to take full responsibility for everything that's going to happen in my life. Because we are in control of our own lives. Nobody else but us. Okay? So,
Okay.
Yeah, okay?
Okay.
So, to tell you a little bit about what I do now, as I stated earlier, I do own and operate a martial arts school, and I don't know if any of you know, but it is a man's world. So I came into the business 7 years ago because I put my daughter and my son into it. I fell in love with it so much that I decided I wanted to do it for myself. But when I saw the changes it made in my children is when I thought, you know, I need to introduce this to other mums, to other families out there. And this is where vision comes in. This is where dreaming. We all dream. We all do the should've, could've, the I wish. Do something about it. Do something about it. Seriously, get up, roll up your sleeves, and if you want something badly enough, believe in yourself despite of what your circle of influence is telling you. And whenever somebody has a dream and they get up and they're gonna do it, oh my God, they come at you. I don't know. It's unbelievable. When there's something positive, people don't really have the time. And let us know how it goes. But when it's negative, they're all there with the popcorn and the pop because they want to know how miserable your life is. Don't allow them. Don't allow them. Own your life. If you have a dream, pursue it. I'll tell you, mine started in my garage. I remember I was at a tournament 7 years ago and sitting back, I thought to myself, I'm going to be here one day. It was a tournament of, 30, 40 contestants, competitors. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be here one day. And you know what? I started it in my garage, despite of all the odds that were thrown at me. And I now have one of the most successful martial arts schools in the Lower Mainland. And I'm a woman.
Yeah!
And when people ask me where my strength and where my power comes from, and I'm not shy to say this. Yes, I've had a lot of help. I've been so blessed with a lot of wonderful people that have come into my life and made my dream a reality. But honestly, I attribute my success to me. The fact that I didn't allow anyone to kill my dream. No one was going to kill this dream, this vision that I had of being in a position where I could make a difference, where I could be the voice that was taken away from me, where I could empower other women and tell you that is not okay. If you're being abused at home, if you're being talked down to, it's not okay. If you have a friend that's constantly cutting you down and never there to lift you up, that's not okay. Get out. I now have, for lack of a better word, pardon the French, the I don't give a shit attitude. And let me tell you, it's an empowering feeling when I can now walk into a restaurant, when I can walk into a social gathering and no longer care about how the girls look, about how my hair looks. I don't care. Love me, hate me, I don't care. And it's such a freeing, empowering feeling to no longer live my life in wanting acceptance from others. How does my hair look? I don't care. I get up in the morning and I dress for myself. I'm like a little girl in my closet. I play dress up, and you know what? It's what makes me feel good. When I walk out that door, this was my power suit today. Tomorrow might be my pajamas. But you know what? And I've gone to the grocery store with my pajamas, by the way. And I was so invigorated. And I didn't care. And I did. I know a lot of people in my community because of what I do. And I did run into a couple of people, and I honestly didn't care. Hey, how's it going? Let's pick up some milk. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Right? Before you're like, oh my God, do I look okay? So, all of this comes through life's experiences. Embrace them, whatever they are, and don't ever please play victim. Poor me, why me? You are in control of your own life. You want to change it, you change it. So, I thought that for fun, I don't know how much more time I have.
Half an hour.
That's pretty. I thought for fun, I'm going to actually get you to, by the way, I love what I do. I don't know if you've sensed that or not. I love the fact that through my self-defense workshops in particular, I'm able to empower women and see that light go on in their eyes. I've done workshops for just one person in a parking lot. And I've done workshops for hundreds of women. But what I love is knowing when I walk out of that room, when you walk out of that room, that I've done my job in reaching out to you, because the truth of the matter is, we as women in particular need to be aware. We need to be aware of our surroundings, because we get so caught up in our day-to-day tasks, because it's our job. We're mothers, we're grandmothers, we're aunts, we're caretakers. We get so consumed with our day-to-day tasks that we forget sometimes to be aware of where we're at, and that's when you get into trouble. Believe me when I tell you. I could bore you with a lot of stories, but I won't, because if I did, you probably will never leave your house. I'm not kidding you, this is the honest to God truth. So why not be aware? Why not be aware of your surroundings? Why not take that extra precautionary measure to make sure that you don't end up in trouble? Because I always say, it's a lot easier to get into trouble than it is to get out of it. Okay? Prime example, and young ladies, please pay attention to this, and even the older ones, you know, if you've got a sexy man waiting for you, you know, you arrive to your destination, starts to rain. Don't want to get, I don't know about you, when I get this wet, I turn into a poodle. My hair is naturally curly, okay? So, you know, quite often we make the mistake of thinking, oh, you know, I'm just going to go down the alley because I don't have to walk in the rain and get to my destination, so I still look pretty when I get to where I'm supposed to go. I know that some of us still feel that way. It still matters to us, as it should, especially if you go into a gathering, you want to make sure you look decent. You make the mistake of walking down that alley, and not to say that every drug dealer is in every alley, but the truth of the matter is they do like to hang out in alleys, okay? And even if they weren't, why would you take a chance? What if you walk down the alley and somebody sees you walking down the alley by yourself? Know it. So don't do it. Does anybody here know what the strongest, name a self-defense tool? What's a self-defense tool to you, Mika?
Karate?
Karate? Anybody else? Self-defense tool, hand up. Yes?
Your voice.
Your voice. Love you.
Oh,
very good. Voice, and we are gifted as women. We have a beautiful set of lungs, and we can project some serious, you know, noise if need be, so thank you. Anybody else? Yeah? Ooh, you are now my new best friend. That is my most favorite technique, the eye gouge. Yes. Elbows, absolutely. Anybody else? Very good. Well, you are very vicious. I hate to run into a dark alley. That's awesome. But you want to know what the best self-defense tool is that we're born with? Any guesses?
Prevention?
Our gut. This is our God's given self-defense tool. This is what tells you. Have you ever had that feeling, I don't know if I should go out tonight? You go out, something terrible happens. Damn, I should have listened to my gut. You know, I don't know if I should have that milk. It smells kind of funky, but you have it anyway. So that's a little strong, but you know what I mean, right? So please pay attention to your gut, because it could potentially save you. That's what's there. This is a gift we possess as women in particular. You know, maybe it's because of our mama bear instincts, because we're all born to breed. I don't know why it is, but we do have that strong instinct. That is your number one self-defense tool. The next time you hear that voice, please pay attention, because it could potentially save your life, okay? So I know as women we have a lot of fears. You know, what am I gonna do if he grabs my hair? What am I gonna do if he grabs my wrist? There's a lot of what if. So I'm gonna do this drill with you, and it's one that I absolutely love, aside from the eye gouge. The eye gouge is my most favorite, and I always save that to the last, because I've been told, oh, it's so barbaric, but I always say, you made the choice to come after me. I have 2 children to go home to. One of us is gonna go home, and it ain't gonna be you. Okay? So if you can please stand up, find a partner. I'm gonna show you a drill that I absolutely love. I'm gonna use my daughter.
Wait.
Come up, Peanut. Okay, so is everyone facing someone? Does everybody have a partner? Who does not have a partner? You have a partner?
Okay, go be with her. Oh, I get
The wrist grab. Mika.
Am I grabbing your wrist?
So quite often, one of our biggest fears, we have several, you know, the chokehold and, you know, grabs me by my hair, comes from behind, whatever. But whenever someone is being, and you know, this could be a woman as well. I'm not man bashing by any means, because sometimes women go psychotic too. Ah, you look at my boyfriend, right? It happens, right? Maybe you had a really bad menstrual cycle and you're feeling really angry. That happens too. So let's say that you're in a situation where somebody grabs you by the wrist. What's the first thing we do? Actually, I'll grab this. Our first instinct, grab me by the wrist. It's tight. Let me go! This is the first thing you do, right? Because you think that by swinging your wrists back and forth, it's miraculously gonna, what if this person is 200 pounds, 300 pounds? What if they're taller than me, bigger than me? A lot of what ifs. So what I'm gonna teach you tonight, and I love the look on the lady's face whenever I teach this, they're like, oh my God, so easy. Okay, so you'll be able to go to bed, with peace tonight, knowing that you can get yourself out of this one. So regardless of how tight that grip is, don't exert any energy, and I always encourage you to be cooperative. Look, I'll give you whatever you want. I'm really sorry. And they may be grabbing your wrist as tight as they possibly could. That's all that they have, and they should. They're angry. You look at their boyfriend the wrong way, right? So if you can grab it so they can see with the other wrist. The weakest point on a human being, and apes as well actually, of our grip is where the thumb meets the index finger. This is the weakest part of your grip. Doesn't matter how strong the grip is, how strong the individual is. So while you're pleading, look, I'll do whatever you want, whatever you say. So while you're pleading with them, you look and see where the opening of that grip is, and you go away from it. I've done this with guys that are 300 pounds. I've done this with muscle-bound guys, just to show the ladies that it doesn't matter how big or strong the attacker or the abuser or whatever it is you want to call it is. So you plead with them, like, I'll do whatever it is you want. You go away. And then elbow to the face. I always like to finish it off with a little something, something. Just don't walk away. Give them a little something to think about, bleeding nose or something. Okay, so I want you to grab and take turns. One partner is going to grab the other partner's wrist as tight as you can. And I'm going to come around and make sure that you're doing this as tight as you possibly can. Here.
Relieve yourself, free yourself. Away. But you...
Ladies, please pay attention. The only way that this is, and yes, you're going to go home with red wrists and you're going to have a lot of explaining to do. Are you sure you are at a women's empowerment? Why are your wrists all red? Anyways, the only way that this is the most effective is if you pry it out. You can't just do this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It has to be a jerking motion. Okay? Don't elbow each other yet.
Okay, so let's see. Yes, brilliant. Let's see. Okay. Like this.